interesting now where it is not so far we're talking about us. So when we have now created a large organization and we have also created certain processes to manage that organization. Now, if your employees are hiding behind the process and taking it easy for themselves. So there are two questions I'm leaving to this panel. One, how do you then manage that? How do you really make sure that your employees are not becoming complacent and hiding behind the process? That is the question part number one. Second, how do you really drive and motivate the organization to, when I'm hearing large complex processes in the organization can really slow down? So these are the two questions I would really like to get perspectives both from all of you. So anyone to go?
So I have a live example, Prashantji, to share about this. So this example is about one joint venture project that we were doing in the Maldives, and where I was handling it directly as an entrepreneur, right? So the first phase got over, the second phase came in, and when the second phase came in, there were a lot of other growths happening, and so we had a operations head to handle that. Now, just as a simple thing, to get a particular joint venture agreement with a bank agreement, there's another escrow agreement to be signed. That man took about 7 days. So I asked him, why 7 days? He said, no, I handed over to him. They're supposed to revert back. So I said, this is just a matter of phone call. You could have just called that person and got it done. I mean, it would have happened in one day. That's the difference. So I think somewhere you will still have to be involved as an entrepreneur, getting things done, because there's a value to time. I think if professionals and corporates can understand the factor of the value of time, and somewhere when it comes to critical, strategic, and business development matters, we'll have to have a bridge. So that's my submission.
Hiteshji, you're muted.
That's a challenge, in my opinion. Every entrepreneur has to go through it, because you are creating islands and you have to connect them as an entrepreneur constantly. Like Sureshji said, that you have the agreement, you send it to the finance. Finance is putting his comments and probably he's sending it to the another, maybe the legal, and legal maybe to the operation. And so what happens? You get a little bit frustrated. You have been through a quick decision on the spot. You are the lawyer, you are the finance controller, as an owner, like you said, it's and now you have the lot of stations, and you don't have that patience. So probably we, like a discipline, has to bring that bias, and we have to connect them each other continuously. And that journey we have to go through that when we are scaling up.
Sure. Yes. Oh, Vishalji?
Prashant, I'd like to add a point. Just listening to this conversation, I was processing this myself, talking about process. Like, okay, what does process really mean? I think that's where we should have started with. I mean, process is not equal to bureaucracy. I can tell you organizations, at least in the United States, are becoming so flat that decisioning becomes super, like, we talk about empowerment, we talk about hiring the right kind of people who can make decisions and who can make things happen. We talk about this all the time, and organizations today, the more the velocity of change increases, the organizations are becoming less and less delayered, right? So that's another one that we've talked about. How do you delayer an organization? So the distance between the CEO and the bottom rung, the number of layers have reduced. So all these things are just happening right now. And I'm also getting a sense that it's not just, sorry?
But I think here, this is where you're copying from the entrepreneurs, as Hitesh Bhai and Suresh Bhai just mentioned. I have to gently give a nudge. So you're now saying, okay, corporate is learning from the entrepreneur this bit and reducing the layers so that they can actually give that nudge when it is needed.
Yeah, I don't know if it is coming from it, but it's just happening as a part of natural process, natural evolution, if you will, and of change as well. And I'm seeing the gut and instinct are two different things. The instinct, the entrepreneur's instinct, how do you sniff an opportunity and go after it, and then and jump before, take the leap, yeah, and then say, okay, in real time, I'll manage certain things. That's a skill itself, right? And at least in the corporate world, you may or may not have that ability to do that. I'll jump and then I'll figure out what I want to do, right? And I'll manage it in there. Yeah. So that is an important one. And I don't think corporates are going to, or corporate executives are just going to be allowed to do, and I'm talking about $1 million, $2, $3, $5 million decisions. I'm talking about, if you're talking about, hey, I want to go and acquire a $5 billion entity now. I'll acquire it and then I'll figure it out what I want to do with it. That's not going to happen. Yeah. Because it's just the governance, the processes and the shareholders that kick in.
Yeah, Hemant bhai, yes. Hemant bhai.
Yeah, I like the way Aditya ji described the entrepreneurs, that we stick our neck, it's our neck, we can hang it. So as an entrepreneur, I think that's the case. We are sticking our neck whenever we're taking a call, because it's your neck at the, you're putting your neck inside. But what I feel typically is that in a corporate structure, I think it's more of a collective decision. It goes more like a collective decision to really. So the longevity in the business, what I personally feel, the longevity of the business in corporate structure increases more than it is there in the entrepreneur. So I would. Hello.
Yeah,
That's all.
Sure. No, Hemant bhai, I think what you are saying is that longevity increases with the processes, so that it can be, there could be some checks and balances on it.
No, it's like today. Suppose if you are working in Walt Disney, you would not take a call of going into a chemical business or a plastic business. You would be going in that set business model. Even if you are a CEO of a company, you just can't jump into and put a few $1 million on a business totally unrelated. But an entrepreneur who is his own boss can take that risk and stick his neck all the time. So which can result into the longevity of the business. Walt Disney is here for last many years, and hopefully will remain here for decades to come. But which is not the case with some of the entrepreneur companies, I would say.
Sure.